Escapism is no bad thing. We tell our children about glass slippers and beanstalks. We enjoy cinema, games, good reads. These things help us switch off and exercise our right brain. The Three Kings narrative can be seen in the same light. An exotic, mystical story, just something heart-warming, perhaps. Epiphany, though, is much more than a fairy tale. St. Matthew, the only gospel which recounts it, is very clear in setting the incident in a specific time and place. Bethlehem, the reign of a despotic and ruthless ruler, Herod, and in the harsh reality of a woman giving birth practically on the street. The stable was not some sanitized ideal, but a desperate resort. Epiphany is rooted in stark reality, isn't it? What of us then? There's a danger that faith can be a form of escapism, a fix to get us through the week. And if so, then Karl Marx, religion is the opium of the people, would be right, wouldn't he? The Epiphany is far, far more valuable than that. Like the Magi, we're called to read the signs of the times and act accordingly and get up, act on our convictions, leave the familiar and secure, embark on a journey of discovering God and his purposes for us, challenging us to act justly, love mercy, walk humbly. That does mean having a discipline to make time to listen, to be, to hear God's still small voice in your life. The Magi saw beyond the baby, saw the very presence of God, and we too are called to recognize that very presence of God in the here and now, in the people we see, in the world we inhabit, to treat each person royally. Christianity is definitely not a way of escaping. God does not want us to escape. He comes to be one of us, to be with us, to ask us to join him in transforming the world, and to recognize that true peace only comes with justice, compassion, and mercy. For instance, the world has just celebrated the life of Desmond Tutu, who risked his life in the cause of freedom and justice. And yet right now our own government is seeking to pass legislation to curb our own hard-won rights to protest and the rights of our judiciary to intervene where governments step outside the law. What will you do in response to that? Or what will I do to speak out for refugees, those just like Mary and Joseph, seeking somewhere safe to live? What will we do to stop the continuing pollution of our rivers, extinction of our beautiful wildlife, damage to our planet, so that our children and grandchildren actually have a world in which they can inhabit safely? And that's the mystery of the Epiphany and the Incarnation. God asks us to help make his presence and purposes of love come alive in our world. So may the perseverance of the Magi be yours this new year and always. Madeleine L'Engle expresses something of this in her poem, Into the Darkest Hour, and I leave you with her words. She wrote this: "It was a time like this, war and tumult of war, a horror in the air, hungry yawned the abyss, and yet there came the star, and the child most wonderfully there. It was a time like this of fear and lust for power, license and greed and blight, and yet the Prince of Bliss came into the darkest hour in quiet and silent light. And in a time like this, how celebrate his birth when all things fall apart. Ah, wonderful it is, with no room on the earth, the stable is our heart. God bless you this Epiphany tide.